In this session, I am going to discuss about the problem 7 in the part B of Java lab. Let me take you to the part B of the Java lab. In the part B, problem number 7 reads as follows. We are supposed to create a window in the Java, and within this window, if a key M, that is capital M or small m, is pressed, then we are supposed to give the output as good morning. And if A or capital A or small a is pressed, then we are supposed to give the output as good afternoon. And if capital E or small case E is pressed, then we are supposed to give the message as good evening. And if capital N or small n is pressed, then we are supposed to give the message as good night. So let's first create the first part, and that is we are supposed to create a window. I have my NetBeans ready with me. I'm going to go to the file here, and within the file I'm going to start a new project. And I'm going to select the Java application as my project, and I'm going to click on the next button here, and you can give any name or you can leave it as it is. So I'm going to say window key handling. Okay, window, let's say, okay, key handling. You can give any name for that matter, and I'm going to just click finish. Any name is okay with you, so just click finish. And if you look at the project window over here, you have a project, that is window key handling, and you have the source package. Within this source package we have a package called as window key handling, and we have the default class that is created by the NetBeans, which says window key handling. Now this particular class has the static void main method inside it, and this is going to run. Let me take you to the project window itself. I'm going to create a new class here. Remember, go to your project, whatever name you have given, go to that project, click on the plus sign in the source packages, click on the plus sign of window key handling. You will find the static void main class. You see this small play like button is there. That means there is a static void main. It contains main. You notice that. Okay, so I'm going to click on this package, not on this class, on this package. Right click on it and then say new, and I'm going to add a new Java class. I'm going to call this as main window. You can give any name to your class, but I'm going to just call it as main window. Okay, then just click on finish. So you have two classes. If you go to the project again, you notice that there are two classes. One is this main window, just now I have created, and the other one is the main window key handling. That is the name of my project. It contains static void main, but it does not contain static void main. Now how do we create a window? Small rectangular box. What is a window if you are not very familiar? It is a rectangular box. In Windows you have this rectangular box with the title bar, and that is the window. How do you create it? It's going to be a lot of code, but fortunately somebody has already created that window for us. So somebody within this Java community has created a window. That is what you see. This is a window. Okay, so what we can do is we can use that window, and we can extend that window. So when you go to showroom, you get the bike or scooter or car that is company fitted with the company fitted settings. You can put extra lights, you can put car stereo, you can put a sticker. That means you are extending what the company has provided. So most of these boys, what they do is they go and buy the Royal Enfield. So Royal Enfield, you know very well, it comes with the silencer which is very silent. If you see the company fitted silencer of Royal Enfield, it does not make lot of noise. So what these boys will do is they first remove that silencer and they fit extra silencer which makes a lot of noise. So whenever you see the infield, it makes a lot of noise. So you have extended, what they have done is they have extended the company fittings. In the same way, somebody has created the company fitted window in Java, and we are supposed to extend that window, and that is what we are supposed to do it. Now where is that company fitted window? So that is what's the first thing. So what we are going to do here is, this is the class, you know very well, in Java you say public class and name of the class, and we say it extend. I'm not going to type the whole thing, I'm going to type exte and control space, and NetBeans will do it for me. Extends J frame, you just have to write this one, JFRA, and the NetBeans will give you an option saying that are you talking about Java X dot swing. So there is a swing class which has this frame which is an extension and so on and so forth. So I want to extend it out of J frame. Very important thing. If you are doing it in this NetBeans will automatically add a import statement, Java X dot swing dot JFrame. If you are typing it in Notepad, then you have to type even this line. This is not for free. If you don't write that import statement, your program will not run. NetBeans will do that needful things for us. That is why I am using NetBeans, which is much faster to code. So this particular window class extends out of that. Now I am going to create a constructor. You know how to create a constructor, okay? But because I am using NetBeans, I'll press Control and Space bar. Together, if you press Control and Space bar, you get lot of methods. Who wrote this method? These are all part of the JFrame. Somebody has already created JFrame. So what we are doing here is, somebody has already created a class called as JFrame, and what we are doing now is we are extending that thing. So we are building our class based on that. So we are extending it. So let's create the constructor. I'm going to press the Control space bar, and the topmost one you notice here is this. It says, do you want to generate the main method? I'm going to the constructor, sorry, the default constructor. I'm going to just you can double click on it or just press enter by highlighting it, and the NetBeans will do the needful to you. Okay, and you are supposed to throw an exception. So that is very important, headless exception. So NetBeans knows all those things. So that is why we are using the NetBeans. Now whenever you create a window, okay, so whenever you create a window, there will be a title bar. Okay, so let me create the title bar here. So you notice this is the title bar of my window. Okay, so let's create that title bar. How do you do that thing? We are going to say, okay, set title, okay, you notice this title, okay, set title equal to, you can give anything, okay. I am going to call this as main window, okay, that's it. So this is for the window. Okay, now let's look at the window. You have the window. Now in the title bar you have written something like main window. So it's going to come in the title bar. Now I am going to specify the height and width. So this is called as the size of the window. Let me specify the size of the window. I'm going to say set size, let's say size. Where is the mouse? Okay, size, control space it and read this size. There are two ways in which you can give the size. One is using the dimension, The other one is straightforward by setting the width and height. So I'm going to make a square rectangle, the square instead of rectangle, you can make it as rectangle. So square is 400 cross 400. So the size of the window, okay, this you have the window here with the main window here. So it is a title bar, main window, and the size is width and height of this particular window is 400 and 400. So it's going to be a perfectly square window. Then I want to show it to the user. So I'm going to say set visible. Remember, this is the last thing that you are going to do it, but set visible equal to true. That means to say that this window, I want to show this window to the user. Okay, so this is what we are supposed to do it for a plain window, but this is not the end, but I'm just showing you how the window can be created. Now let me go to the other class over here. There you see the window handling. That is, let me go to the project. There are two classes are there. One with the main method. The other one is the one main window that I am working on. I want to work on this main window. It will be open for you here itself. Main window. Okay. Whenever you are working with the NetBeans, close all the unnecessary the files by clicking on this X mark. But this time I need the window handling, that is the second class over here. This class has static void main. So I'm going to create a new instance. You notice the static void main here. There is a remark statement. I'm going to create the new instance of this main window. How do I create this new instance? So you know, how do you create a new instance of a variable x? So you say int x. You created a new integer variable. In the same way, I have main window. So what is this main window? That is this class, main window. This class that you just created, main window, with all this set title, all this that you have written, main window. Variable name. So how do you write it here? You see this. Int is the data type, x is the variable, equal to 10, you assign something. Okay, in the same way, main window is the type, variable m, you can take x, m, anything, equal to, however you can just say equal to 10. It is not it's a class. Then you have to create a new object. How do you create a new object? By typing new, and I call the constructor. So main window. Okay, the constructor. What is this constructor? This method that I have written, main window, where I set the title, the size, visibility, all these things, whatever I have done, I'm calling this method, main window, this method I'm calling it. So that is actually called as constructor. Okay, this is not required because this I gave you just for example purpose. Now let's run this project. I'm going to just save this and just run this project, and you see a window. Okay, very nice window. Okay, few things you must notice. I am just keeping it here. Right at the bottom, this is the main window. Right at the bottom, it is saying that it is running. This particular program is running. Okay, now I close this window. Very interesting thing. I close this window. Okay, now what do you expect? The program will close. Running, the program is running now. When I click on this close, the program has to close. I close this and you notice that the program is still running. That's a very dangerous part. You close the program, but it is still running. How do I close it? By clicking on this X mark. This program will stop. And it is just saying, do you want to close this window key handling? This is the program that you are running. Do you want to close? Yes, I want to do it. Now what is this happening? Okay, whenever you notice it just says it was stopped, it didn't complete it, it was stopped, purposely it was stopped. So whenever you run like this, the window starts, but when you click on this close button, you have to tell this window that exit. When you click on this close, what happens is window is just hidden out, it is not shown, but it is still running in the background. Such a thing should not happen. Okay, so we have to, very important thing, we have to set a very important property for a window. So otherwise you have to come here and you have to say, click on this X mark and then say exit this program. So what is that one important property that you have to set? Let me go to this main window here, and in this main window, before you set something visible equal to true, remember visible equal to true is the last thing that you generally do it, but need not be, but generally it is the last thing. You have to set the default, very important thing, default to close operation. See, I have not typed the whole thing, I just said default, and the NetBeans knows that this is the default to close. Okay, the operation that will happen when user initiate the close. When the user says close on the window, you clicked on that X mark on the window, you have to tell that window exit. So you can't say just type exit here. There is a constant in C program, you studied constant. So how do you get the constant? I say JFrame, that is the name of the class from which we extended. So you know very well, when you buy a bike comes with the 2 tires. Okay, they don't say we don't provide you with the 2 tires, they provide with the 2 tires. There will be a horn, there will be light, everything will be there. So inside that bike everything is there. Similarly, J frame is that frame, on top of it you are building your class. So it contains all the constant, all the things, whatever, all the methods, everything will be there inside it. So just go to JFrame and then find out what is there. So that is why I said JFrame here, JFrame dot, NetBeans knows that you are always using this exit on close. Okay, default window close operation. This is the default window close operation, and my antivirus is not happy with whatever I am doing. In any case, let me say default exit on close. So remember, you write this one. This is very important. If you don't do it, your program will be continuously running in the background, even though you close the window, but your program is still running. Okay, it is not a good way of developing something. So I'm going to just click here and I'm going to just run it. Okay, when you run this time, you observe this time, very important thing. Okay, you wrote this part on exit, where is that, on default close operation is frame exit on close. You wrote this one and you notice that your program is running. I'm going to just reduce the size of it just to show you that what is going to happen. So your main window is running. This also says that main window is running. I click on this X mark over here and notice your program automatically closes, and a beautiful message says that build was successful, your run is successful, everything is successful, there is no jerk in your program. So remember to write this. Now within this window I'm going to show a label. So for those who are not familiar with what is a label, so in your you have filled the form. In the form you just write say enter register number, you get like this, enter reg number, and in front of it you get a box like this. So this box is the text field. This is in Java this is called as a text field. And this part where you have the name, register number, you may get like this, register number, name, and so on and so forth. So you get like this. Okay, so this where you can type your name, register number, this box is called as text field. What is this thing is called as? This thing is called as a label. So label is static. Generally, user can change the label. A programmer can change the content of the label. User can change it, but the user can always click here and type something. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I am going to create a label, and I am going to put that label right here in the middle here. I'm going to put the label here. Okay, so how do you create a label? So to create a label, now let's I'm not going to create the label here. I'm going to create the label as a class variable. So how do you create a variable? You say int x equal to 10. This is how you create a variable. In the same way, the Java people have created something called as J label. Okay, so I just type JLA control space and NetBeans knows that I am talking about a J label. So what did I do? I just wrote to J and L and I press the control space and Java the NetBeans says, okay, are you talking about the label which is there inside Java x.swing? Yes, I'm talking about that. Okay, now this is very easy. You press enter. NetBeans behind the scene has done these many things. You notice it has imported headless exception because you said in your main method it throws headless exception. That exception was imported from the AWT. Swing.jframe, which is your frame extending. J label, just now you have done it. Okay, so if you are typing it in a notepad, you have to type this whole thing and waste your time during the examination. So would you like to do that? Okay, so let's talk about this label. How do I create this label? So you said excuse me, the data type is int here, the type is label here, and then you said x is a variable. I will take it as LBL, label, short form for label, LBL, equal to, because it is a class, equal to new J label. Okay, same thing, you call the constructor of it. Okay, now inside this I'm going to give a text. You can directly do it, but inside this I'm going to put a small text here and I'm going to say type a letter. Okay, just this is a message to the user, type a letter or type a character, whatever it is. So you have created a label. Now this label, whatever you have created, it has to be added to the window. So you have just created this window, you have to add that window. Now there is a small minor problem. Whenever you want to add something in the window, it must be arranged in a beautiful way. One of the way in which you can arrange the content inside the window is by using a grid. Grid is nothing but a table with rows and columns. So you know very well, whenever you write something in the table, in the tabular form with rows and columns, things appear very neatly. So this is a beautiful way of arranging. Okay, so this we call it as layout. You have to put the content in a proper layout so that things will appear neatly. Otherwise one will appear here, one will appear here. It becomes cluttered. This is the grid layout. There is the other layout which you can think of using, and that layout is called as flow layout. You can use any layout, but generally we use the flow layout. So what is this flow layout is, the first content that you put is going to come, actually it is going to come at the middle, but I'm going to start like this. So the first, anything, a button, a label, whatever you add, it is going to come here. Next one will come immediate to this one. Next one, whatever, label, button, text, anything, this buttons, so all these gadgets that you see over here, anything that you add inside that window will come next, one after this, one after this, one after this, one after here. So after here, there is no more space now. The next thing that you are going to add will float to the next line. That is why we call it as flow layout. So you add, it is like it is flowing, next component and next component. When there is no space, it just flows to the next line. So this layout is called as flow layout. Okay, and you can use grid layout also. I am going to use the flow layout so that the label will appear neatly. Okay, so how do we do that thing? So I'm going to go to this main window over here where I have set the default close method, and I'm going to say set layout. Okay, set layout, and you notice that you are supposed to give a layout manager. That is what I'm talking about. This layout manager is actually a class. So you have to create a new object of this class. Say I'm going to say new. So how you created a new label here. So new label, in the same way you have to say new, and then you have to say flow layout. Okay, you just type FLO, NetBeans will do the needful thing, press enter and use the default constructor. Don't call the other constructor, use the default constructor, flow layout. Very interesting thing. NetBeans will add the import statement for you. Import java.awt.flow layout. It is directly added by the NetBeans. So you don't need to do anything on that. Let us look at the next part, and that is we have created the layout. So we have set to the window here that the layout is going to be the flow layout. So whatever you add, you have to add it. Now generally what happens is, I don't want to confuse you, the first component will come here in the middle, second component will occupy the middle. It's like center, justify center. You have justify left, justify right, justify, and center, justify center. In your word you have done that thing. So it is actually centered, justified at the center. Okay, you have the flow layout now. Let's add this label. I have just created this label. By the way, that int 10 is not really required. This is just for your explanation that I wrote that how the variables are created. Now this, I have this variable LBL, that is the label. I want to add this label. How do you add this label? You just say add, okay, and you just say LBL. Okay, add LBL. Okay, that's all you need to do. Let's run this window and let's see whether we are getting that label. You see this label. Okay, type a letter. It has come, right? I told you it is going to come in the middle, and actually it is centered. Okay, and the flow will be there. The flow layout, that story remains same. Once it floats, it goes to the next line and it goes like this, floats. Okay. Let's go to the next part now. Next part is we have created a window. This part, so with all this struggle, we are able to do only this part. Program to create that window. Now comes the next story. When we press M, we are supposed to do something. When we press A, we are supposed to do something. So all the other things we have to do now. So that means to say that when you have this window here, this window must know which key is pressed. Are you pressing M? Are you pressing A? Are you pressing something? Okay. When you press something, this window must know. In other words, this window must listen to the keyboard. Which key is pressed? So when A is pressed, this must listen and say, okay, oh, A is pressed, G is pressed, K is pressed. Whatever key is pressed, this window must listen. So we need a key listener, okay, which will listen to which key is pressed in the keyboard. So what we are going to do? So we are going to handle this keyboard key listener event. So we are going to handle that thing. So because we want to show the message that according to the program, if A is pressed, then you have to say good afternoon. If E is pressed, we have to say good evening. So we must listen to that. So we are supposed to implement that listener. Okay, how do we implement it? So we have the window here which extends this JFrame. We know very well. We have extended our window from the JFrame. How we extend our bikes and scooter and cars, we have extended it same way. Sorry, this is okay. We are going to say we are going to implement. Okay, implements. You notice that implements. So I am going to say key and I am going to say listener. So again you notice I pressed control space, by the way. After typing key L, I press control S. NetBeans is saying, okay, are you talking about a event which is called as key listener? Yes. So where is this event? This event is in java.awt.event. I pressed enter, but behind the scene NetBeans will go and add. See, remember, it has also added this flow layout. Also, it has added AWT import.awt.key listener. So you notice behind the scene NetBeans is doing a lot of things for you. Okay, so that is why I prefer NetBeans. Otherwise, if you make a spelling mistake here, instead of K capital you write small case, your program will not work, because Java is case sensitive. Now the NetBeans now says, if you notice over here, it is now putting a squiggly red line and saying that this program will not work. If you look at the top over here, actually it will show you an icon, red icon over here, saying that this is not going to work. There is an error in your program. You notice a small bulb which has come over here. This bulb has one interesting help, and that is, it is going to show you a small red exclamation mark saying that there is something wrong. And what it says that there are some methods which have to be implemented, because you said you are implementing key listener. There are something that you must do. Whenever you must, when some key is pressed, what are you going to do? So you said I'm going to handle that key event. Now the question is, if a key is pressed, A is pressed here, what are you going to do? You tell me, what are you going to do? So that is why it says you give me the methods which are implemented. So I'm going to click on this bulb over here. If you click on this bulb, you just click on this bulb, you get an option. Okay. If you click on this bulb also, you get some option. Okay. But this is a warning. It is not, there are two things. One is called as warning. The other one is called as an error. Error means you cannot proceed. Warning means you can always ignore. This is a warning. This is not the correct way of doing it, but it's okay. Let's go to the error now, and let's me click on this bulb here, and the bulb says that do you want to abstract all the, do you want to implement all the abstract methods? You said that you are going to implement key listener, then it says there are some methods that you have to implement. Okay, I'm going to say to the NetBeans, okay, you do it for me. I don't know which are the methods which I'm supposed to implement it. So how do I do it? I'm going to click on this bulb here, and I'm going to say implement all the abstract method. When I click it, automatically this is gone. You see, red line is gone. That means this program can work. But NetBeans behind the scene has added 3 methods for me. Okay, one is key typed, the other one is key pressed, third one is key released. Okay, I'm going to just search for my keyboard. Okay, that virtual keyboard. I don't know how long it is going to take. Okay, on screen keyboard, because I just need that. Okay. Then what are these 3 methods? I'm going to explain to this. What are 3 methods? One is key typed, other one is key pressed, other one is key released. See, when you press on any key, this is a keyboard. When you click on any key, let me just keep it here, so that I'm not going to see. When you press, I'm not releasing it. Okay, so when you press that key, don't look at that. It is getting typed. When you press any key, that event that occurs in the keyboard is key pressed. The keyboard will tell your program that one key is pressed. This is what you say. You press the key and you leave that key. So you notice this is, if you look at this one, if this is the key, okay, when you press this key, okay, when you press this key, this event is called, that is called as press. You have pressed, then you don't keep on pressing it, you release this key and you pull it up, you release this, the key will come up. So you, on your keyboard, the key will go down and the key will come out. So when the key is going down, the event that occurs is key pressed. When the key is coming up, the event that occurs is key released. You release the key. Together, pressing and releasing together is called as key typed. So either you can listen to key pressed or key released. Now you may say that why do you require this kind of thing? Now if you are writing a gaming program, so these games you are playing now, sometimes you want to take an action when somebody has pressed the key itself, even though they have not released the key. When the key is pressed, you want to listen to that event. Okay, so you can handle, you are supposed to handle all the 3. You can handle any one of them. Now by default, what NetBeans will say that I created this key pressed event, a key typed event, and key released event. you have not typed. So if you call this method, it throws an exception saying that it is not supported. So what am I going to do? I'm going to just minimize this first, and I click here. Now look at that. I click here and then drag down. And remember that bracket is required. This bracket is the closing, opening and closing bracket. So don't remove that. Click and just click in the beginning. Drag down. Remember, don't take that closing flower bracket, that's required. Just click and drag down and just pull it back. So you notice this. Press the delete button on your keyboard. So what does this mean? You're not doing anything. When the key is pressed, I don't bother. What about key released? So click at the beginning, drag down, just take it back, press the delete key on your keyboard. What is the meaning of this? When the key is pressed, I am not doing anything. When the key is released, I am not doing anything. What about when the key is typed? Remember, type is both press and release. Together is key typed. When a key is typed, again I am clicking here and then pulling it back. I delete that through exception. I don't want to create any exception. Press delete. Okay. So there are three methods are there. When the key is typed, what are you going to do? Nothing. There is nothing in this method, so nothing will happen. When a key is pressed, nothing is happening. When the key is released, nothing is happening. When the key is typed, nothing is happening. But if nothing is happening, university is not happy. What the university is saying that when the key is pressed, you can go for press event. When a key is pressed, you are supposed to do something. When a key is pressed, something, and so on and so forth. So let's go to the pressed event. You can go to any of the event. All the event will go. Even for the type event also you can write it. But I will handle the press event or type event, anything. Now remember, when a key is pressed, the keyboard will generate an event. Okay, anything that you press, the keyboard will generate an event. And what this where is that? Okay, this which key is pressed? Now you have this question, which key is pressed? That is provided to your method using this E will have all the information about which key is pressed. So you must know among these, all these, which key is pressed. Your program has to know that. How do I know that thing? So keyboard will provide you E variable. This could be X, Y, Z, anything. It's just a variable that will give you which key has been pressed. So let's go here. So how do I know that which key is pressed? Now remember, keyboard will give you this variable X. In this X, you put a dot, and you have lot of things. I'm going to say get key character. Now what does get key? It returns a character associated with it. So which character? Either A, X, Y, whichever character that is pressed, that character you are going to get it. Okay, I'm going to just store that in a variable called as character C. C is equal to, so it's not X, this is character. So how you write I'll put a semicolon. This is same as writing int X equal to 10. So this is same. So character C is equal to whichever character that is pressed in the keyboard that you are handling. So in other words, whichever character that was pressed in the keyboard, that character will be given to you. So you will get which character that is pressed, and you are going to store that in C. So now you find out whether this C, this is a variable, remember this is a variable, whether this C is equal to A, whether it is equal to M, this is equal to something else. So you just, now it is all done. You know which character has been pressed from the keyboard. Whichever character that is pressed, you are getting it here and you are storing it inside C. Now find out what is the value of this C. So I'm going to just zoom in, zoom out for you, zoom in for you, and then I'm going to type this into a X is not required. That's for just for example. So I'm going to just say if this character, whatever that is pressed, remember from the keyboard, whatever key is pressed, you are going to get it here and you are storing it inside C. If this is equal to double equal to, remember I am comparing it, if this is equal to M or capital M, so university has said both of them, so either small case m or capital M, what is that I am supposed to do? So here you notice, if it is M or M, then you say good morning. Okay, where will you show this good morning? In this label, you just created this label here, type a letter, I'm going to put that inside that label. So what is the name of that variable? Name of the variable is LBL. So LBL, so LBL, you have to set a text. So how can you put the text inside it? You can't put equal to. Okay, it is an object, you can just simply give something to it. You have to say set text. Okay, that's a method. Again, you notice NetBeans is helping you like anything. Set text and inside double quote, what is the method? You say good morning. So you set good morning. Okay, is it running? Let's run it and let's see whether it is running. You type M, X, Y, nothing is going to happen. Okay, why? What is the problem? You will say, hey, what is this? It is not typing. You told everything, and now if you type M, X, Y, Z, I will keep the keyboard here, and I will keep this one also here. Okay, I type anything and everything, nothing happens. Okay, why? Because you said your class is implementing and so on and so forth, but you never told this window. This window is there, no? You never, in the class you told everything, you never told this window that you are supposed to listen to that key. You are implementing this method. If you just implement this method, nothing is going to happen. You have to, so there are a lot of rules are there in the college, but you are supposed to follow that rule. So rules are already there, so it is like you created the rules, but you have to tell this window you follow that rule. How do I say that? So here you added this label. Okay, again I told you the set visible is the last thing that you generally do it. Okay, you are going to add a key listener event. Okay, and by default NetBeans say who is going to listen to this keyboard is this. Now here what you are saying now to this keyboard is to this window is, just run this window and just to show you. Now what you are saying to the window is you are supposed to listen to this key event, listen to that key event, and when you say that, when you do this one, you are just your window will start listening to it. Now if you press any key, in particular M, okay, something can happen. So you are listening. Okay, M, okay, M. Now it will happen. Now it has not happened anything. Okay, let's look at that part now. Okay, this is done. Let's go to the next event. Where is the next event? I think I pressed M. Okay. Let me run it again. Now instead of this event, I can handle the other event. Let me type. Okay, see, the problem is oh, I closed that. Anyway, I'm going to just create get that virtual window for you. Sorry about that. Yeah, this virtual where is that? Virtual, say it goes Visual Studio event. Okay, what is this? A keyboard. Okay, keyboard. Let me open that keyboard. Okay, this keyboard. Where is that window? Let me get that window. I think that keyboard it is not taking that event. Okay, where is this M? Okay, see, you see that, got it. Where is the other key? It's not working. Good morning only will come. Once good morning comes, it can't change because I have not completed the program. Okay, now it is listening to everything. Okay, let me complete this part. Okay, I will not distract you with the other. So first one is if it is M, it is good morning. If it is A, it is good afternoon. So let's handle the other part. So otherwise, else if it is A, then good afternoon. So I'm not going to type the whole thing. NetBeans is a window based application, so you can select this if statement, control C it, go here and control V. Okay, so else if the typed character is A or capital A, so then we are supposed to say good afternoon. In the same way, else if, look at here, I am selecting this whole thing, else if full block, the whole block is selected, control C it, click here, control V it. Else if it is E or capital E, then you are going to say good evening. Again, else if it is N, I know I have read the question, that is why I know that it is EN and this one. You may be wondering, how did you come to know? I have read this question many a times, so I know that first one you are supposed to handle M, next A, next E, next N. This is good night. Okay, so if you press M, it is good morning. If you press A, it is good afternoon. If you press E, it is good evening. If you press N, it is good night. If you press any other key, what are you going to do? If you press any other key, I am going to go to this LBL and I am going to set the text, set this text as something. What is as something? I am going to copy it. I am a bit lazy. I am going to copy this, type a letter. I am going to copy that whole thing. So if any other key is pressed, then I am going to show the letter. Okay, if you say type the letter M, N and other things, you can, some people write type letter M, A, X and so on, but I don't want to waste time during the examination. So the logic here is, if the key pressed is M, then it is good morning. If the key that you are pressing is A, then good afternoon. E, it is good evening. N, it is good night. Otherwise you say type a letter. Okay, any other key, it is that. Let's run it. Keep it here. Let me get the virtual keyboard. Okay, now I'm going to press the M. So I think morning. Okay, I have to highlight this. Okay, but I will just keep it here. Okay, good morning. And next one is where is the other one? Good afternoon. Okay, if you want capital, you can type the capital also. Good evening. Good night. Any other letter. In the small case also, good evening, welcome, good night, welcome, and so on. So everything will come. So your program is perfectly working fine. This is what you are supposed to do for your examination. Okay, so they said the key pressed event has to be handled, and you are handling the key pressed event. So that is what they said, when the key is pressed, you are supposed to handle it. Now there is a small minor variation. Remember, that's enough for your final exam. But as a good programmer, you are supposed to run the window. This is called as a GUI, graphical user interface. You are supposed to run the graphical user interface as a separate thread. So in Java, whenever you start the Java, the main program, main static void main will run. This one has to be run as a separate. This has to run as a separate thread. You're supposed to do it, but even if you don't do it for the practical examination, it's all right. Okay, but I'm going to just show you that thing. So I'm going to go to the window key here, where I created in the static void main. I just created this one. This is not really required. Okay, but I'm going to just give you as a part of completion. I'm going to give you, your program is over at this point. You can show it and get the full mark if you do this part. But if you want something extra, if you want to show, you can do it. So I'm going to go to something called as swing utilities. Again, I'm not typing a whole thing. I will ask the NetBeans, give me swing utilities. Okay, it's a collection of utility methods in the swing, and inside this I'm going to say invoke later. Okay, so what's the meaning of saying it is invoke this later. Now what this invoke later will do is, This is going to be a terrible thing if you look at what I am doing here. Invoke later actually has to be given a runnable, a class with the runnable interface. Okay, so here you are supposed to give a runnable interface. Now it may when you are listening to, to me now today, it may you may feel that I'm talking in French or I'm talking in Chinese, but once you are familiar with the Java, you will come to know that this requires a runnable interface. Okay, how do I create a new object? I write new and I'm going to say runnable. Okay, it's actually a interface. I'm just creating a object out of that interface. I press enter here. I type RUNN control space, press enter. NetBeans will say, do you want to call? Indirectly it creates virtually it creates a class, and then it calls a constructor of that particular class. I just say okay, you do all these things, press enter, and you notice, oh my god, it has created all these things. Okay, it actually created the whole class inside your method. Okay, now I don't want throws unsupported exception. You know very well, I generally remove that exception. I remove this exception by selecting here. You know very well, select here, click down, don't keep that closing bracket, press delete. Okay, now here you have to just cut this one and put it here. Okay, there is something wrong in this one. Okay, now you have to handle one more exception. When you do this one, you have to handle one exception. See, the NetBeans actually is a very good tool that just says that you are not handling an exception. Click on this bulb and then say throws clause. It adds throws interrupted exception and so on. Okay, if it says throws java.invocation target, it's okay, it throws all invocation exception and so on and so forth. Now that's why I told you, if it is required then only you do it, otherwise your program will work fine without all this. If you are able to bear all these things typing on your notepad, some people are doing it in typing it on notepad, you do it, otherwise it's not really required. Remember, you just can't type like this, you need import statement for all those things. In Java you have to write import. NetBeans will do the needful things for you. Okay, for your examination only this line, I'm just going to copy it here, this line is enough. This is extra thing that I have told you. If you find it very difficult to write all these things, don't type it. Now what is the end result? If you run this, what is going to happen? Are you going to get a window in green color? The answer is no. Are you going to get something different? The answer is no. You press AM, it will come good morning. You press good evening, nothing. What has happened is you have created a separate thread. So your main thread was working like this. This is a sub thread that is working now. As simple as that. Now for this you have to take all this trouble. Now for your examination, taking all those troubles are not really required. So that's all in this video. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again in the next class. Thank you.